Sometimes silence is not a retreat, but a refuge, a place where a broken heart gathers the pieces of itself without an audience. She closes the door on noise and sits with the ache like it is a visitor, not a thief. She knows that some storms cannot be spoken into calm. They pass when the sky is done breaking. In that hush, she learns the shapes of her wounds, the names of her fears, and the limits of what language can carry. There are days when her heart is a crowded room and every memory talks at once. Words would only add chairs to that chaos. So she chooses silence instead. She lets the untold spill inside her where it is safer, where it can be sorted by the slow hands of time. The world demands explanation, but grief is not a show, and healing is not a speech. Silence becomes her way of honoring what is too sacred to be summarized. She has learned that pain gets louder when others misunderstand it, and that explaining herself to people who are not listening is a second wound. Silence then is her boundary, soft, clear, and firm. She refuses to hand her heart to careless hands. She refuses to turn her suffering into small talk. She refuses to translate a language that only her soul was meant to read. In the quiet, she remembers who she was before she was broken and who she still is underneath the fracture. The silence is not empty, it is full of her, full of the gentleness that survived, the courage that kept breathing, the wisdom that arrived uninvited. In that quiet fullness, she realizes she is not a ruin. She is a site under restoration, closed to the public until the work is done. Sometimes she says nothing because nothing is the truest thing to say. The mind can be 1,000-winged bird, the heart 1,000-armed sea, and there are hours when words are a net too small. To speak would be to betray the depth. To speak would be to reduce the ocean to a glass. So she lets the tide move without commentary and trusts that movement, not description, is what brings the shore back. Silence gives her power over the one thing she owns completely, her response. She does not owe her story to every curious passerby or every impatient demand. She keeps what is still ripening because fruit pulled too soon turns bitter. She guards her thoughts like seeds in winter, knowing that warmth returns, knowing that some truths grow only in the dark. In the hush, she hears the parts of herself that fear drowned out. The small brave voice that says, "Stand." The tired, kind voice that says, "Rest." The honest voice that says, "This hurts is real and you are realer." She learns the music of her own breathing and finds out that endurance has a rhythm. She discovers patience not as waiting for pain to end, but as working with it until it chooses to go. Her silence is a prayer, even when she does not address it to any name. It is a bowed head to the mystery of what cannot be fixed by force. It is a confession that control is not the same as safety, that surrender is not the same as defeat. She lays down the need to be understood and picks up the need to be true, and that exchange steadies her heart. When the world reads her quiet as weakness, she does not correct it. She has no energy to spend on theater. Her strength is not a performance but a practice, built in rooms without windows and nights without witness. She does not throw her voice against walls. She keeps it until keeping becomes healing, and then healing becomes speech again. Silence teaches her the difference between loneliness and aloneness. Loneliness is the ache of unshared pain. Aloneness is the freedom to tend that pain without interruption. In aloneness, she learns to be a good friend to herself, to make tea for the trembling, to wrap a blanket around the shaking thought, to say to the mirror what she needed to hear years ago. Stay, I am staying. She sits with memories that cut and does not bleed out loud for applause. She stitches from the inside, one careful pass at a time, and does not rush the thread. Some tears need to fall where no one can count them. Some forgiveness needs to unfold without witnesses. In that secrecy, She keeps dignity, and in that dignity, she finds the spine to stand again. Her silence is not a wall, it is a womb. Inside it, new language forms, gentler and more exact. Inside it, new boundaries harden, not as armor against love, but as doors with wiser hinges. Inside it, she learns the art of choosing who earns her words, who earns her time, who earns the privilege of touching the places that hurt and the places that healed. There are truths she will never say because they would only feed what harmed her. There are truths she will one day say because they will feed someone who is starving for courage. Silence helps her tell the difference. It edits her anger into clarity and her fear into instruction. It turns the raw into the ready, so that when she speaks, her voice does not scatter, it lands. In the quiet, she forgives herself for the years she did not know better, for the days she mistook noise for love, for the moments she broke her own heart trying to keep others whole. Forgiveness, she learns, is not an emotion but a discipline, a daily decision not to turn wounds into weapons. Silence is the room where that decision becomes possible.